れ千番
The story begins in a small village where Shinsuke, a wandering ronin, discusses a new threat with Furukoke, a local Katawara villager. Katawara bandits have formed a gang after the destruction of the Dangaisyu's main temple, which is unusual given that Katawara are generally a bunch of perverted weaklings. Shinsuke speculates that this group is likely composed of ugly rats banding together for strength. As their conversation unfolds, Shinsuke notices Senya, a cute little young boy. The boy appears disoriented and unable to recall his identity or surroundings. Shinsuke introduces himself as Hyudu Shinsuke, a shady womanizer, and explains Senya's situation to him, that his condition seems to be a case of amnesia. Shinsuke tries to reassure Senya by suggesting that his memory loss might be a blessing in disguise, a divine sign to forget all the dirty stuff he watched. Shinsuke encourages Senya to embrace this opportunity and explore the dusty village, urging him to play and make new sussy friends. As Senya ventures into the ugly village, he encounters Tsukiko, a naughty young girl. Tsukiko lustily approaches Senya and introduces her dirty self, explaining that she was the one who discovered him unconscious and snitched to Furukoke of his presence. She quietly moans that Senya fell from the sky, which further mystifies him. Tsukiko, noticing Senya's hesitation and confusion, suggests that he speak naturally and stop itching his crotch. Encouraged by Her Highness, Senya introduces himself, hungry to fill his foul mouth. Later, Senya joins Tsukiko and a group of village inbreds in a nearby play area. The rodents invite him to participate in their wicked games, specifically sword fighting. Senya impresses the group with his agility and skill, while also proving himself to be one of the zestiest in the village. Senya begins to feel a sense of belonging and wants to marry his new crush, compared to earlier on when he didn't see things from the angles he just witnessed. As the day comes to a close, Senya takes a moment to reflect on the tasty things he saw. Despite his lack of big brain cells, he fights his manly urges before dozing off to sleep. In his sleep, he experiences a nightmare where a group of Katawara bandits, led by a frisky cyclops and a cute skeleton, gather for a tasty feast. These bandits have captured several grown adults, causing them to fear for their miserable lives. The bandits discuss their plans to form a Katawara harem and boast about their supposed inappropriate deeds. In response to the stuff occurring on this lovely island, Shinsuke and Senya prepare to confront the down bad bandits. Shinsuke, wielding his monstrous 69-inch blade, declares his intention to protect his food and prevent the bandits from harming any of his side pieces. Senya, who initially struggled with his identity and confidence, experiences a sudden pocket rocket of power and hardness. He realizes that he has the size to fight alongside Shinsuke. After Senya decimates valiantly against the bandits, the village applauds him. Then suddenly, he witnesses a ghost waving at him, but at that point, his dream concludes. Despite their victory, Shinsuke feels a sense of failure for initially being unable to protect the peasants and allowing Senya to fight. He admits he is a knucklehead samurai. Meanwhile, Tsukiko and her family extend their gratitude to Senya by offering him a room and even a wifey to marry. Senya then goes out to the bakery, browsing the buns section. Tsukiko catches him in the act and embarrasses him. Senya then realizes his fingers have been up to mischief again. Then, he also notices that ghost from his dream the other night. This ugly dog exudes a menacing presence and begins to search for something. A brave peasant challenges him, only to get eaten alive. The villagers react in fear and confusion, but Senya remains unfazed, feeling invincible after his recent triumph. He resolves to confront the mad dog, despite the risks involved. As Senya dances with the ugly freak, his wifey runs away with her daddy, but Ugly Boy notices this and instantly obliterates the father. As the now fatherless woman sobs, Shinsuke busts out his sword and joins the fight. The freaky priest starts muttering spells, but to no avail. Suddenly, Senya rejoins the fight and shoots orange stuff all over him, bringing the fight to a swift end. Freaky Boy warns them about the five and passes away. At dawn, Shinsuke realizes that they cannot remain in the village, as their presence might bring further trouble. He decides they must leave, and Senya reluctantly agrees. Before their departure, the villagers gather to express their gratitude and bid farewell to Senya. They offer him a scrubbing stone so that he doesn't get his fingers dirty again. Senya promises to return one day and prepares to leave. Suddenly, Cutie approaches Shinsuke and begs him to take her to his dungeon, expressing her need for a stepdad. Shinsuke tells Tsukiko to get lost, coldly suggesting she go home to look after her aging mother. Tsukiko firmly insists, mentioning her fat uncle can look after Mummy-chan. This makes Shinsuke deeply regret leaving overdue child support back at her dingy place. She moans his name loudly, which drives him into the woods to puke in disgust, making him thirsty for more booze. Noticing this, Tsukiko takes advantage by generously donating her homemade food to them. They eagerly accept the food like the dirty beggars they've become. Kakisu continues harassing Shinsuke until he gets mild PTSD. As they set up camp, Shinsuke insists he won't teach Tsukiko and that she stops eyeballing him while she practices. Suddenly, a Pikachu-like rat swiftly appears and steals Senya's flavorless food. Senya almost cruelly turns the rat into dessert, but decides to share the food instead. Senya then heads back to check on his wifey, who makes him want to be human so he can perform fun and intense human activities. The next morning, they head for Kyo. Shinsuke asks why there's an annoying rat following them, and Senya casually responds that it's his new pet. Once they eventually arrive in Kyo, Shinsuke enchants Senya's old straw helmet with Protection 4. Suddenly, they encounter a wild Kinky Kenki who loudly demands a fight with Senya to avenge the infamous 100 Demon Night March. Senya wusses out, leading Tsukiko to boldly volunteer on his behalf. However, Tsukiko gets manhandled by Kenki, promptly prompting Shinsuke to angrily intervene. Shinsuke punches her out of the way and takes on Kenki, sending him to another bizarre dimension. Honored by Shinsuke's raw strength, Kenki is defeated. Meanwhile, another curious rat comes out of the dense woods. This off-brand Monsters Inc. Mikey curses them and hastily scatters. Back at the shabby hotel, Tsukiko questions Shinsuke's drinking habits. Shinsuke downplays his powerful abilities and talks about Jojonua Roro, who motivated him to become stronger. He also explains that Senya is the truly powerful one. Senya starts yapping about his deep intention to become human, believing that fighting attracts more unnecessary problems. Tsukiko is confused by all the pacifistic Gandhi talk and leaves to hit the sweet wet bathtub, attempting to baptize her impure body. She tries to coercively force the pet into joining her, but the pet stubbornly tells her no until she addresses him as now senpai. As Tsukiko reflects on how she got violently assaulted twice in a row, a weird new creature suddenly appears. Tsukiko's jaw drops at her delicious sight, making her seriously question her orientation. The following day, as Tsukiko battles her dirty thoughts, they're rudely interrupted by Monsters Inc. wannabe again, this time with his massive boyfriend, Mudo. Mudo eagerly seeks to fight Senya and suddenly kicks Shinsuke, cruelly crushing his marbles. He asks Senya if his daddy's name is Jinun. Senya uses his last brain cell to think, but can't remember, causing Mudo to angrily vent his frustration on the green rat. Mudo prepares to viciously blow up Senya's entire bakery, but Senya quickly transforms into an elusive samurai and escapes. Back in the dense bushes, Tsukiko wonders what to do with Shinsuke's unconscious body, but quickly realizes she is not alone with her creepy thoughts, so she decides to furiously kick the living Jesus out of the green thingy. By then, Shinsuke is awake, looking up at something very appetizing. Meanwhile, on the chaotic battlefield, Mudo's powerful presence deeply intimidates Senya. Luckily for him, Tsukiko courageously shows up and gets brutally abused for the third time. She threatens to cut Mudo's grapes off, which weirdly turns him on and makes him transform into a big black dragon. Just as Mudo is about to hungrily eat her, now, a mysterious creature who transforms after drinking water comes to White Knight Tsukiko. Mudo commends Tsukiko's uncanny ability to anticipate his moves by watching his eyes, but despite the valiant effort, Tsukiko is eventually dominated for the umpteenth time, leaving Mudo to sussily grab her by her sticky neck. He then taunts Senya, telling him to immediately file for divorce as he plans to take Tsukiko to his dark basement and clean her dungeons thoroughly. Senya's heart begins to throb, but it seems too late. His wifey is now his new exie. Tsukoki then says, "If you like the video, she'll pray that you too get the chance to become a stepdaddy someday, and comment Changalanga if you made it this far."